Joining us now is Derrick Johnson, the president and CEO of the NAACP. Mr. Johnson, good evening.
Good evening.
Explain a bit more about the Ku Klux Klan Act and how you think it might help you secure a victory in court.
Well, in the aftermath of the Civil War, Congress enacted this act to protect Southern congresspersons who was working to reunify the nation, because there was an uptick in individuals forming moronic groups such as the KKK. Primarily, these were former Confederate soldiers who had lost their rights because of their treasonous activities, and to prevent them from causing harm or intimidating or threatening members of Congress. That fits what took place on January 6th. And the former president, Rudy Giuliani, and the other groups, they initiated a course of actions after the elections that led to January 6th to prevent members of Congress from carrying out their constitutional duty.
Congressman Thompson spoke about this with Ali Velshi on his program. Here's part of what the congressman said.
Because it's a civil matter, there could be penalties associated from a personal standpoint that would put these organizations out of business. They are right-wing, domestic terrorists.
So can you elaborate a bit on what it is that you're seeking from this lawsuit? The congressman mentioned penalties possibly enough to put some of these groups under.
We have learned in our country, if you don't stop domestic terrorism, domestic terrorism have reared its head in this nation as white supremacist extremists. African Americans, particularly in the South, we know what it means if you allow these groups to grow unaccountable for their activities. That was the reality many blacks lived through in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, when we've seen a sharp uptick of domestic terrorism in southern states. Our goal here is to hold people accountable for what happened on January 6th. January 6th was a failed coup attempt. It was insurrection. It was treasonous. And because the Senate refused to put the country above partisanship, we're taking a step to hold individuals accountable. Even though this is a civil matter, those are the tools that we have at our disposal. We hope someone would step up and also file criminal charges for this criminal activity, because this was a treasonous act.
I think it's important for people to know, this may be your Black history fact for the day, but the NAACP was formed in 1909 in part to deal with lynchings. Investigating lynchings is one of the core reasons the NAACP existed. One of the former presidents, Walter Francis White, was an African American who was so light-skinned that he could pass for white and infiltrate Klan rallies and infiltrate groups that were planning lynchings. That's part of what the NAACP is foundationally designed to do, is save black lives. But I can imagine the counter argument, which is Donald Trump was not planning a lynching. He never told anybody to target the congressman. He gave a loudmouth speech on the ellipse at the White House that resulted in violence, but he never intended the people named in this lawsuit any direct harm. So the Ku Klux Klan Act ought not apply to him. How would you respond to that?
I respond that Mitch McConnell disagrees with you. Mitch McConnell said clearly on the Senate floor after the Senate vote that this was an act of violence against members of Congress. Mitch McConnell says that Donald Trump's activities led to the events we've seen on January 6th. Mitch McConnell says that this is something that he should be held accountable for. We agree with Senator Mitch McConnell in the scenario. I have not heard anybody argue the counter. What we've seen last week was a political proceeding. Now we need to bring this case for accountability in a court of law. We look forward to others bringing criminal charges.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.